Lynn Cool. I'm in Fort Worth at the Futurity, and I have been excited about this conversation all week. I am with Arika Fell from Edwardsburg, Michigan.
Yes.
We have that Southwest Michigan connection.
Yes.
So growing up, and so we're going to get to the steps that got you here.
Yeah.
But Arika, you work for one of the most elite cutting horse trainers in the world, literally
Correct.
in the world.
Yes.
Part of the Wes Galyean program,
Mm-hmm.
Wes Galyean Cutting Horses out of Claremore, Oklahoma.
Yes.
The path that got you to Wesley and Kristen, is that, we've got to talk about that because
it's very, very strange, very long.
So growing up in Southwest Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I'm from too. I'm from Southwest Michigan. We're practically neighbors in rural
Yes.
Michigan.
And
right?
we never knew each other, which is so strange.
No, we never, our paths never crossed. But I am such a fan of yours because you had the courage, right?
Yes.
Courage to leave home
Mm-hmm.
and chase your dreams.
Absolutely.
You
Yep.
are living out so many horse girls' dreams, right? And I did a little bit of that too. Like when my husband and I got married, I left home and we went and trained horses. So we did some of that too. So I understand what that's like and how to go try and make your career in horses. But before you ended up in Wesley's program, talk a little bit about your first horse and how you got involved in horses. Does that come from your family?
It does. Actually, I had a little pony named Shadow. That I ran all over our property and absolutely fell in love. My brother actually had a horse before me, which made me want a horse even more. And it was uphill from there.
So you were ate up with a passion for horses.
Absolutely. It might have started with a little bit of an envy of why does he get a horse and I don't?
Yeah.
But I fell in love with him.
So did you start like through 4-H? Did you?
Yes.
So with Shadow, did you do 4-H?
Yes. So I did 4-H, and then after Shadow, we actually bought a POA, and I did POA. I really wanted it to be a pleasure horse, and it didn't want to be a pleasure horse. And then obviously stepped up after that too. I got a horse named Romeo, and I showed the AQHA stuff with him. I showed the 4-H. I showed like all of that stuff in Michigan, and loved the pleasure, and asked him to do trail, horsemanship, all the things.
Now, once there, did you mention anything about cattle classes and cutting?
Absolutely not. I had not a thought about.
Not even, it was not on your radar. Nowhere in there were you thinking about that at all.
Absolutely not. No.
Did you work with a trainer?
So when I was real little, I obviously had Shadow, but we took jumping lessons. And so we did a little of like the IEA stuff within there.
Yeah.
I think just to get us grounded and make an actual rider out of both of us. But we did that. And then through showing, like when I started to show like quarter horse stuff, I actually got a trainer. Her name's Kimmy Bratton, actually. Dave and Kimmy Bratton is what it is now. Well, Wagner.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I know.
Yep. So I trained with Kimmy before David was there, obviously, and she helped me so much with my pleasure horses. But
do they follow you now? Do you ever talk to them?
Yes, I do chit chat with them a little, and my mom is still really connected with them too, because she'll go and help out at the 4-H shows, and they still go help out at the 4-H shows and stuff, and they'll run into each other every now and again.
Yeah. All right. So you grow up through the 4-H and doing these other shows, and then you decided that you wanted to go to the University of Findlay.
Yes.
So when you picked graduation from high school, University of Findlay, what was your intention? What was your plan with that University of Findlay education?
So
did you even know? Because so many college students, they don't know.
Well, I did know, and so I had just broken out one of my first horses the year before going to Findlay, and I was like, well, that was really fun. Like, we'll try and figure out something, a school with a horse program in it. Like, I want to continue the horses, but my plan was to actually go to vet school. So
Okay.
I went through the entire animal science program along with the training program at University of Findlay. And so we had looked around at multiple colleges, and none of them really fit, but then we went and visited the university, and it was great.
Yeah.
It was great, yeah.
Did you take your own horse to school with you?
I did. So my freshman year, I took the 3-year-old that I had, and so I took him through the whole freshman year program with me, and boy, did it make him a broke horse. He was great, and now he takes care of my mom now.
That's awesome.
He's awesome.
So what is that program? I'm not familiar with that program.
So the freshman year is basic riding skills, and all of it's used to, like, they'll teach you everything you need to know in order to start a colt, but essentially on a broke horse. So whether it is riding, showmanship, groundwork, all of that stuff, you essentially learn it on a broke horse first. Take you through it. They'll have you do like horsemanship patterns, showmanship patterns, trail patterns, whatever it may be. And they just have different like increments each semester of like what you're going to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But it like essentially gets you ready for your sophomore year, which is your colt breaking year. And so they have a method that works for them every time. And so that's what they teach you. And honestly, it does work almost every time.
So your sophomore year is colt breaking.
Yes.
So is that a colt of yours, or do they school provide you with it?
The school will provide you.
Okay.
So a lot of people will. It's a send your horse to college program is what it is. So they can send you, and it goes through to your senior year as well. But your sophomore year is obviously 2-year-olds or 3-year-olds, but they try to stay to the 2-year-olds.
Yeah.
And then the sophomore year is obviously like your green horses, and then your senior year is like your broke horses. You're learning to show them, you're learning to school them, put the pieces together, that sort of thing. But anybody has the option to send their horse into whatever year it would suit, and it'll get assigned to a student.
So you're in your sophomore year, looking at kind of the rest of your college career, and then like what's next? So you must have made that decision not to go to vet school after school, and so now you're thinking, I'm gonna go train horses.
Yep.
And had cutting horses entered the picture yet?
Not yet. So my sophomore year, when I was colt breaking, the summer after freshman year, I went and worked for Bruce and Anthony Vickery. And they do the trail and the western riding.
Yeah.
And so I worked for them a little bit in the summer, and then I worked for them at the Congress as well that next year. And then I had a ranch horse that was a colt that I had also had, because we had multiple colts that you could get. So I had a pleasure horse that I absolutely adored, and then I had like a ranchier colt. And I was like, okay, this is kind of fun. And they were like, oh yeah, like you can work it on the flag if you want to. I was like, work it on the flag? I don't know
What's
that
a
means.
flag? Like, right?
I was like, sure.
I never knew what that meant either.
Yeah,
like
and
the
so I was
flag.
like, whatever. And so that was like my intro to it a little bit, but it didn't really start until my junior year is when we have our green horses. So we have green cutters, green western riders, green trail horses, and the school will actually like provide you with some broke ones also in that. So you have broke horses throughout that know their job, and then you obviously have your green horses that you have assigned to you. So I actually got to get on a broke cutter, and I was like, this is so cool. We got to go work cows. Yeah. I may not have known at all what I was doing, but it was so much fun. And I was like, okay. And that is when I actually joined the ranch horse team. My sophomore year, I think I joined the ranch team because I was on the IHSA team my freshman year. So it would have been my sophomore year. I joined the ranch team, and I got a little bit of an intro. I didn't have a cutter that I had for a ranch horse, so I didn't really do the cutting, but I had one that like mediocrely liked cows, so I did the boxing my sophomore year a little bit. But my junior year was the first time I cut. So, and then I stayed in the ranch horse the entirety of the time that I was there after that, and cut, took one down the fence, did all the things.
So a little working cow horse.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. The reining, all of it.
So does the university help you find a job? Like when you're finishing up with your degree, do they help place their graduates?
They will. So if you really are like, this is what I want to do, they'll be like, where do you want to go? What discipline do you want to do? Like, we'll try and help you set something up, which is honestly what Jerry did for me.
Yeah.
Jerry was like, I have a friend, he needs some help. Like, you're more than welcome to go down there and try it out. And not that I necessarily wanted to do the reiners at the time, but I was like, this is a good step.
Yeah.
This is a good start.
Going to go be a part of a good program. And so you went and rode reiners.
Yep.
And then what happens next?
So, and then I actually was like, I think I was there for like 3 or 4 months, and I was like, I really just don't know if the reiners are for me. I don't know if I want to do this. I was like just scrolling on my Instagram page, and I saw an ad pop up, and I was like, I don't know who Wes Galyean is. I've never heard of him. And I was like, now I look at it, and I'm like, oh my.
Sometimes when you're naive about the situation, it's way better. Because you walk into it confident, like, all right, who's Wes Galyean?
I was like, I don't know who he is. Like, whatever. And, like, I went to the page, and I saw that Kristen was his wife, and I was like, I know that name.
Yeah.
And I was
Kristen Glover Galyean.
I was like, obviously. And I was like, how did I not know this was her husband? Like, I didn't know he trained cutting horses.
Right.
And so I was like, well, okay. And I called my mom, and I was like, hey, like, this is open. Like, I've always wanted to get more experience in the cutting and gain more finesse and, like, do more things in it. What do we think? And she's like, sure. So I applied for it. And, well, actually, I called Spencer and Kim Zimmerman, which were some of my professors at school. And I was like, hey, like, do you by chance know if Kristen is still hiring for this position? And they were like, oh, let me ask. And they asked, and they were like, hey, she said to call you. Like, to call her. This is her number. Like, call her as soon as you can. So I called her, and she was like, so when can you start? And it wasn't even like an application, really. Like, awesome. I sent some videos of me riding after that, and she was like, when can you start? When can you be here? Awesome. And that was so nice that they gave me such a recommendation that it was like, you have the job, essentially.
Nice.
It was great, yeah.
So you live right on the ranch in Claremore?
Yep. So I live right on the ranch and just hang out there all the time, essentially.
Talk about some of the famous horses that you've had a chance to be a part of.
So many. There's so many from even when I first started, and like my mom would tell you if she was here, but I was like googly eyes over Third Edge. Because he was a 3-year-old when I first started there. And I was like, calling her, I was like, this horse is incredible.
Yes.
Like, incredible. And so I eloped him a little bit when we were at home. Sammy was definitely his person, but I did get to take part in at home because she was just show help them. But Third Edge.
And you mentioned that to me earlier today too, about that program. Wes's program is really they key on it. Who's the person? Like, who's this horse's person? Like,
yes.
Right.
Well, we try to figure it out. Like, who fits the best with each horse and who makes them the happiest. Because you don't want a mad horse going down there, or just like some of them you just don't get along with, and there's so many that roll through that like some you just aren't going to get along with. You can try as much as you can, but they feel it. They feel everything. Yeah.
So, I mean, you guys just kind of mix it up and find the right fit.
That's kind of,
And then they have you stay with that horse really through its
pretty
career.
Much. Yep.
I mean, you're the loper, you're the one that takes care of them, saddles them. You guys are doing all of that.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So you've had Third Edge. What other horses?
1942, which he's very, very close to my heart. I absolutely adore him.
Are they still showing 1942? Will he be here at the futurity?
He will not be here at the futurity.
Yeah,
but he will, they'll show him again this year. He's actually the one that Wes showed at the American this year, too. Well, this year, but not next year, probably. We have very, very good stallions in the barn right now that he can choose from a lot. But obviously, I've ridden Lone Wolf. I've been around him. I've been around Phil and Dangerous. We have mares too, Venomous, Empress. These all great horses. And then obviously the oldies that are like the goodies, which were like Button Down Super Cat. She's still at the barn. Yep. She's retired, obviously. Gets turned out every day, but around her all the time. So there is a lot of famous ones there.
Well, and what I appreciate too, when they make a post, when Wesley's team makes a social media post, it's always thanking you or Sammy.
Yes.
Like, they really, you guys are a part of that team, a part of that family. They're
we definitely
really
try
good
to
about
make it a team.
Yeah.
Like, and you honestly can't make it not a team because you're all working towards the same goal, whether it's on a different horse or not.
Yeah.
You're all working towards that horse doing the best that it absolutely can, whether it's turning back for that horse, loping that horse, anything. Just.
Are you turn back help at the farm?
Yes. Yep.
So you're doing, so you're loping, you're turning back.
Yep. I'll ride some 2-year-olds, work some 2-year-olds. Little, almost like a transition. Like we have a 2-year-old guy usually at all times. I will start a couple of them, but not too frequently. But I will go through the whole string of them, and I'll ride them for maybe like a week or whatever when Wes doesn't have time. But I hand them off to him as much as I can because he knows much better than I do.
So at a show like this that goes on literally for a month, how hard is that on you guys? I mean, that is such a long time to be.
It is a long time.
Out of your normal routine.
Yes, and it is early mornings, late nights, but honestly, you learn to adjust because that's all it is. You have to adjust. If you don't, you will not make it in the industry.
Take advantage of that downtime in between like the sets. And
absolutely.
That's how you do that. So
take a nap when you can.
Really? Can you slip in a nap?
Yes. Every once in a while I'll slip in a nap. Yes.
All right. That's awesome. So you showed here at the futurity, and like this is the part for me, like again, going back to those Southwest Michigan roots and where you and I both came from. I mean, honestly, if you talk to people in our area where we're from, they don't even know what cutting is.
Yes.
Until maybe Yellowstone.
Yes.
And I find out now since Yellowstone,
absolutely.
now they're like, is that what you do? Well, part of it.
Well, they always ask me, they're like, how's your barrel race? I'm like, no, that's not what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So again, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast with you so much, because as a Southwest Michigan rural girl myself, I'm so proud of you to have the courage to leave home, to chase after this dream, this career. And the folks back home don't really get what you're doing, but it's really a big deal. It's a big deal. You showed here.
Yeah.
You have your own 3-year-old that you've trained.
Yes.
And you showed it on the big stage at Will Rogers. You rode to the herd at Will Rogers on your horse.
Yes, on a horse that I trained.
What was that moment like for you?
It was honestly a little surreal. I was like, is this, leading up to it, I was like, is it really already here? Like, I feel like I have so many things that I still need to do for him. Like, we need to figure some things out. But honestly, like walking down there, I don't think I've ever been so confident on a horse.
Nice.
Because I feel like I knew him inside and out. And I was like, he can do exactly what he needs to do as long as I do my job.
Yeah. And for our listeners that aren't familiar with cutting, it's that training process began at the end of his yearling year,
Correct.
Going into his 2-year-old year, and you can never have shown them until you get here to the futurity. So that
Correct.
horse has never been in a show situation.
So we
like
do
this.
try to pre-work as much as possible.
So, and pre-work, so explain to the audience what the pre-work is.
So a pre-work is essentially like you'll go to any coliseum that you can necessarily get booked. It's usually a smaller coliseum, like Ada, Ardmore, something of that nature.
Yeah.
Bring your friends, as many as you can, because you obviously will need herd help, and they'll need to work their horses too. But it's essentially a cutting, but without judges, without scorecards, without a buzzer.
Yeah.
And they'll usually give each other like 5 or 6 minutes to work your horses. You can pull out 3 cows out of a herd. And so it gives you a really good feel on what your horse is and what you need to work on, and like what you have underneath you before you do have to go do it in front of a judge and actually have to leave your hand down.
Actually have to leave that hand down. And you know, that's and what it's so great that Wesley's program allows you to take your horse along to those situations and gives you that time for yourself. So that's awesome. Talk to me about the camaraderie in the Cutting Horse Association, and how you, I mean, I just feel like there's so much respect between trainers and exhibitors.
Yes, and there's so much respect between the trainers. They obviously have to help each other. They don't have to help each other in the pen, but they all choose to help one another. And like, you can be like, hey, like, can you help me in the 4th set? I'm deep. And almost every single time, somebody's going to say yes.
Yeah.
Like, they want to help you.
Yeah.
And like, if you bring a video to them, or if you say, hey, can you watch me work a horse and see what you think about it? They're going to sit there and they're going to help you.
Yeah.
And it's almost everybody here too. I couldn't pick out one that I'd be like, oh, they would tell me no.
Yeah.
It's just that you have to ask. Yeah. The worst thing that they can say is no.
Right. Yeah. No, I love that about cutting. And it's just, I interviewed Andy Adams, who's the director of the NCHA judges a few weeks ago at the Congress cutting.
Oh, yep.
And that's what Andy said, is that cutting is the only sport where your competitors, they help you win. They help you beat them.
Yes.
Or you're helping, you know, the person that's
like,
your
you would
biggest
never see that in the pleasure.
Never.
No. They'd be like,
no.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not watching your horse.
No.
But they do, and they all sit up there and try to pick out the best cows for one another and make the best run possible for you and your horse.
Yeah. I love it.
It does. It helps you beat them sometimes.
Yeah. And even, I mean, so I know that your next step, you would love to move into training.
Yes.
Be training on your own. In cutting, I feel like they're open to women.
I do think so, yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, there's some fabulous women trainers.
Correct.
That Morgan Cromer and Lindy and all of those women that are out there showing. Like, there's a place for you in this industry.
Yes.
And you can be respected by the men.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And you feel that.
I do feel that.
Yeah.
Yes. And I feel that more, like, I maybe was a little eerie of it because I did notice that there was so many male trainers when I first started.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, maybe this really isn't, like, women don't do this as a trainer. But honestly, like, as I've been here for more and more years, like, I feel like they do respect you. Like, if you can train a horse, if you can do it.
I feel like they respect talent.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Right? If they respect talent. So, you know, male, woman, whatever, they respect talent.
Yep.
Talent
and drive.
Yeah.
If you're willing to work for it, they will respect you.
Yes, absolutely. So talk about some of the experiences that you've had. So first of all, when you're coming in and out of Don Valenzuela's barn,
yes,
right? Because I think that's where you guys are laying over right now for the futurity.
Correct. Yep.
So
we haul in and out every day.
Out of Don's barn. I mean, is Bella Hadid there?
Every once in a while.
I mean, so is it just like, hey, Bella?
Yes.
Supermodel, famous person. Like, how awesome is that?
Well, we try to treat her
like a normal human.
Like a normal human.
Yes.
But she is so sweet, so kind.
Awesome.
And loves everyone, honestly. Awesome. She's been great.
I feel like she's just an absolute horse lover.
Oh my God, yes.
I mean, like, I feel like she's like you and I grew up with that passionate horse girl.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter if you're a supermodel or...
It doesn't matter. If you have the passion for the horse, it's there.
And we all respect that.
You love them. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Every type of horse.
Yeah. So you've been to the American at Cowboy Stadium.
Yes.
Did you elope Third Edge? Or no, you
Nope.
had 1942.
Correct. Yep.
So
Sammy eloped Third Edge, and then I had 1942 the next year, and it was wild. Like, it's a lot of commotion, a lot of noise, and it was a lot, but it was so fun. It was really, really cool.
I mean, can you imagine that experience? Again, knowing where we came from, could you ever imagine that you would be loping a horse in Cowboy Stadium?
Absolutely
not.
Like,
who does that? Who would even think it?
No. And like the first year, I was like starstruck by the stadium, and I was like, I'm so glad I'm not loping this horse.
Yeah.
I am way too nervous. And then the second year, I did actually get to lope him, and I was like, this is really cool. Like, let it sink in a little bit. It's like, huh, not everybody would ever get to do this.
No, right? So when you're getting a horse ready and warmed up for Wes, like, do you guys communicate? Like, do you say to Wes, you know what, he feels really good today, or I'm a little concerned, or you're like soft? Do you communicate with each other?
Absolutely. Well, you have to know what you need to do going forward.
Yeah. And
communication is key with them. Like, even after like a work at home where you're just hanging out working horses, I still ask, hey, how was he today? How did he feel today?
Yeah.
How was this?
Yeah.
Did you feel this? And just to like keep you on the same page of, well, I felt he was wild today. What did he feel like to you? Oh, he didn't feel like that. Okay, I read him wrong. And so it helps you get a read on each horse as you go through, especially trying to get them ready to show. Yeah. You don't want to leave one too fresh. You don't want to get one too tired. Like, so you gotta talk to them about what's happening.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And then you've been to the Run for a Million.
Yes.
And I mean, and basically at the Run for a Million, it's the top trainers from cutting, reining, and just cutting and reining
and the rein cow horse.
And the rein cow horse, right? I mean, so it's the elite of the elite.
Yes.
I mean, I just can't even imagine walking around in that crowd. It's just got to be so amazing for you.
Well, it's so cool too, because like you would think like, oh, like they don't know me, but those trainers even like they bother to learn your name.
Nice.
And like they're strangers at one point in time. Like, you may be fangirling over them, but they're like, hey, Arika. And I'm like, this is so cool. Like, I know all of these people.
Well, and I mean, you have set yourself up for success at this next stage, because those trainers, they are going to, they'll help you, they'll support you.
Yes.
You can, bounce questions off of them. I mean, what an amazing way to set yourself up for future success.
Yes.
So I think then the next step is what for you? Like, after you finish your time at Wesley's, you're pretty deep into cutting horses now.
I know. I've grown really fond of them. I'm not positive. When I left school, I was like, I think I want to train rein cow horses, but I would like to gain the finesse in the reining, the cutting, and the rein cow horse. And honestly, now I'm not sure that I want to do the rein cow horse. I don't know if I want to do the cutting or not, but it'll be in that general vicinity. It'll be either cutters or rein cow horses.
What about like a colt breaker? Like, what about a 2-year-old? Like, would you ever start with that step?
I do love the colts, but I do love to show. So it makes it really hard to consider yourself as a colt breaker and then also show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would start colts, obviously, if that's what paid my bills. But I would also like to try and gain some like aged horses onto that as well, if that's the route that I went.
So one of the things, I guess to get off the subject of cutting horses and talk a little bit more about the pleasure horses, because many of our listeners back home, that's that Kristen Galyean connection. They want to know about Kristen and those pleasure horses.
Yes.
So you were at the ranch. You helped prepare for the sale, the dispersal sale.
Yes, I was not there, but I did prepare for it.
But the preparation for it and the emotions that family had to feel to be dispersing.
It was a lot. And I felt for Kristen. I watched it obviously live, and I felt so much for Kristen because those boys were her babies.
Yeah.
She loved them, adored them.
Because she's a horse lover.
Yes.
Right? I mean, we look at, again, where it's, to me, she has Bella Hadid status, right? I mean, we've always, looked up to her and just been so impressed with her show career.
Yes.
And to see her sell those stallions, like I felt like I felt her emotion.
I know. Yes. Yeah. It was wild. Well, and she feels that way about all of them because most of them she bred and raised that were also in the dispersal sale or her girls showed them or this, that, and the other. But it was really hard to watch, but also really cool to watch.
Yeah.
All of the horses go through but they're not done with the pleasure. The girls still show.
Yeah.
Yep. All 3 of them.
Yeah.
And we have a couple at the house every now and again. And
you mentioned that to me too. So for the sale, typically all the cutting horses are in Claremore.
Correct.
And the pleasure horses are in.
They're either. Erin does a lot of her horses. And then Lee and Leonard Berryhill do a lot of their horses.
Yeah.
Yep. So they might have been like just dispersed around wherever.
So you brought all the pleasure horses to the farm for the sale.
Correct.
And that's what you were doing. You were running horses during the sale. You were hauling horses.
Well, I was hauling cutting horses to Amarillo.
Are you pulling the rig full of those?
Yes.
That multi-million-dollar trailer full of horses?
Which, yes. And the first time that I hauled horses to the vet, I called my mom. I was like, you will not imagine how much money is in this trailer, and I am so scared.
That's a lot of trust that they put in you.
Yes.
Again, high courage.
Yes.
I'm going to say that Arika is really high courage about a lot of things in life. That's awesome.
Yes.
So, again, what a neat experience for you. Just to be out here. Will you stay in Texas and Oklahoma? You gonna stay out west?
Yep. Against my mother's wishes, but
of course. Well, maybe Mom needs to move out here.
They hate the heat, though. They hate the heat. My family hates the heat.
We'll ask them about that in January.
Yes.
Like,
how do you like the cold?
Well, I hope I get to meet your mom and your family, and I know that they're proud of you too.
Yes.
So thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this conversation with you. I'm a big fan, and I'm going to keep watching for all your success.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes.